You never think much about the view from your window. It's just part of your home, a place to look out at the world, to check the weather, to see your neighborhood. But what if one night you looked out and someone was staring back? Someone who didn't leave. Someone who never moved. My name is Claire, and this story happened last fall. It started with a shadow outside my window, and ended with me realizing he hadn't come for me, but for someone else. It was around midnight when I first noticed him. I'd been up late working on my laptop, the glow of the screen making the rest of the room feel even darker. Out of habit, I glanced at the window above my desk. My room was on the second floor, overlooking the small patch of front yard and the quiet street beyond. That's when I saw him, a man, standing completely still on the sidewalk. At first, I thought it was just a passerby checking directions or waiting for a ride. But after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, he was still there. Unmoving, just watching. I told myself not to be paranoid. Maybe he was waiting for someone. Maybe he wasn't even looking at me. But then his head tilted up. Slowly, directly toward my window. I froze. My heart began to hammer in my chest. The glow from my laptop must have made me visible. A perfect silhouette for him to stare at. I pulled the blind shut, tried to shake it off. But every sound made me glance back. Minutes passed. I finally gathered the courage to peek. He was still there. Same spot, same posture, head tilted upward. Eyes locked on my window. I grabbed my phone and considered calling the police. But what could I say? A man is standing on the sidewalk. That wasn't illegal. I tried to distract myself. Put on music, focus on my work. But an hour later, when I looked again, he hadn't moved. Not an inch. That's when I noticed something worse. He was closer now. No longer on the sidewalk. He was at the edge of my yard. I closed the blinds completely, turned off my light, and sat in the dark, my breath shallow. Every instinct told me not to look again. But curiosity gnawed at me. Finally, I cracked the blinds open just a sliver. He was at the base of the tree in my yard, standing perfectly still, face hidden in shadow, but body angled toward my window. I whispered to myself, "Call the police, Claire. Just call." I picked up my phone, dialed 911, but before I could press call, I heard it, a tapping, not on my window, on the downstairs glass sliding door. I nearly dropped the phone. He had moved, but that was impossible. I had been watching the yard. I hadn't looked away long enough for him to cross that distance. I crept to the stairs, every step slow, careful not to creak. The tapping grew louder, steady, measured. When I reached the bottom, I peeked around the corner. The glass door was fogged from the cold night air, and in the condensation, a handprint, pressing, holding, waiting. I stumbled back, panic flooding me. My phone slipped from my hand and clattered to the floor. The tapping stopped. I crouched, grabbed the phone again, and with shaking hands, dialed 911. As I whispered to the operator, I dared one more look at the glass door. Empty. The patio was deserted. The police arrived minutes later, lights flashing, footsteps heavy across the porch. They searched the yard, the street, the woods nearby. Nothing. But when one of the officers shined his flashlight into the yard, I saw something that made my stomach drop. In the dirt beneath my window, where the grass had been worn away, were two perfect footprints. Deep. Impossibly deep. Like someone had been standing there for hours. The officer dismissed it, said it could have been old. But I knew better. I didn't sleep that night. For weeks, I kept my blinds shut, my lights low. Every creak of the house made me jump, but eventually, I convinced myself it was over. Maybe it was just some sick prank. Maybe I'd never see him again. Until last week, I got home from work, arms full of groceries, and nearly dropped them when I looked at my front door. Taped to it was a Polaroid of me at my desk, taken through the window, and scrawled on the bottom in shaky black ink were the words, "I haven't moved.